Hello, I'm Jeff Cavins, and today we're looking at the readings for Divine Mercy Sunday. Every liturgical year, we take one Sunday and we focus completely on the mercy of God. Today, in John chapter 20, we see one of the first appearances of Jesus after the resurrection. What he does is he goes in search for the disciples. And what we see in today's reading is that they're shut behind a door. They're behind locked doors at this point. On the evening of that day, the first day of the week, the doors being shut, where the disciples were for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them and said to them, "Peace be with you." And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. And then the disciples were glad when they saw the Lord. And Jesus said to them again, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I send you." And when he had said this, he breathed on them and said to them, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven. If you retain the sins of any, they are retained." We see here after the resurrection that the disciples were locked behind the door. And what really speaks to me, and I hope it speaks to you, is that locked doors don't keep Jesus out. He went through the locked doors and he was with his disciples. And when he was with the disciples, he challenged them and he said to them, he said, "Peace I'm giving to you." And that peace that he gives is the word shalom. And it doesn't just mean kind of like peace in an American way. It means a very deep, deep contentment, a wholeness and a perfectiveness in their life that he is hoping for them. And he's giving them that tremendous blessing. And he gives that to you today. And then he says something very powerful after he says, "Peace be with you." He says, "As the Father has sent me, so I send you." You know, many of us are locked behind doors of fear, locked behind doors of shame, but Jesus penetrates those locked doors, the locked doors over our heart. And once he gives us that peace in the midst of our fear, in the midst of our shame, he commissions us. And he says, "As the Father sent me, I'm going to send you." And if you look at the life of Jesus, we see clear back in the early parts of the Gospels that Jesus started with the baptism. And he came up out of the waters of baptism and he was receiving the Holy Spirit. We would call that confirmation in the church today. And that Holy Spirit gave power for the mission of Jesus. And then the majority of his 3 years of public ministry, he's teaching how to live. And then he faces the cross and he suffers and he dies for us, and it has tremendous meaning. And then he rises from the dead in the resurrection. We find that if we follow Jesus, we're going to go through those same things in the sacraments of initiation, baptism, and confirmation. And then we're going to learn to live out daily the teachings of Jesus. But in life, we will go through the cross. But the cross will lead to victory, and that victory will lead to a resurrection. So I want to encourage you, as the Father sent Jesus, so he sends you. I want to encourage you today to seek out the church and to walk through the doors of mercy and open up that locked heart and receive the mercy of God. And after you do, you're on a mission. Respond to baptism, confirmation, his teaching, the cross, and the resurrection. And as the Father sent Jesus, so he sends you.